What's up everyone, it's Mark from Silence Tech. I hope you're all keeping well. If you're wondering where I've been, well, I've been doing up our new house that we've moved into. It's been an absolute nightmare. It needs so much work, from the doors to skirtings to even sanding down the walls to the plug sockets, relocating all the plug sockets, my phone's going off. It just needs so much work. It's an absolute nightmare. It couldn't have come at a worse time. But on top of that, Sal, my girlfriend, has been given the opportunity to have a hip replacement because she's always had a bad hip. So I'm trying to get the house up together before she has that operation. But anyway, today's video, so that's where I've been. But today's video is going to be all about this awesome build that I've done featuring a new Corsair case, a new AIO, and also a Gigabyte RTX 3080 Ti. So I've got a lot to talk about. I hope you enjoy this video. I've done an awesome intro. Yeah, so let's start the video. Okay everyone, kicking off, this build would cost around $3,500 US, and that is of course if you can buy all of the parts at MSRP. I decided to use Corsair's latest case, their full tower ATX 7000X. You can fit two 420mm rads inside this beast, and up top I've installed Corsair's latest IQ H170i Elite Capellix liquid cooler, and I've added another 4 ML140s situated at the front and rear. But this case does come included with 4 SP140 RGB Elite fans that I've removed, and they reach a maximum RPM of 1200. Pricing, Corsair are asking $329.99 US and 281 UK pounds for this case. Just having a quick look around, I feel there are plenty of areas that justify the pretty high price tag. The whole case is covered in tempered glass, but airflow is still really good. System temps only drop by a few degrees when they are all completely removed, although I feel the top dust filter is a little bit overkill and honestly not needed, it's just really there for looks. Gaining access to all of the filters is super easy since the glass panels can be popped off in seconds. Another standout feature to this case is all of the different configurations it has, catering for every build imaginable from a standard build like mine to a full custom loops. The total size of this case is nearly 600mm in height, 540mm from front to back, and just under 250mm from side to side. But this case is far from perfect. There are some areas I feel lack that premium finish. The front I/O looks a little cluttered, and after reviewing the other models in this lineup, I feel the plastic used on the front also lets this case down a little, especially on the white models. I don't particularly like the grey. I feel the X model should have a more premium material on the front surround, like aluminium. It would really bring this case to life. The tempered glass side panel is mounted at the rear with hinges, which is a big improvement compared to the previous models that came before it. The glass on the black version is smoked, making it hard to see your components inside, although it's not as dark as some cases I've seen in the past, and it will hide a lot of your cables if your management skills aren't the best. Checking out inside, you can fit a GPU measuring up to 450mm long, so that's pretty much every GPU ever made. There's also a 3-slot vertical GPU mount, a customizable window to show off your power supply, and room to add another 4 120mm fans by removing a panel inside. In total, you could install 12 120mm fans for some serious airflow action. Lastly, in the back of this case there is an included Commander Core XT which allows up to 6 fans to be connected. I simply put my 4 case fans into this and put my CPU fans into the included Commander Core Smart Hub that comes included with my H170i Elite Capellix. This works really well as I have different fan profiles set up in IQ to control my case fans and my CPU fans separately. Looking at my H170i Elite Capellix for a second, it does a fantastic job at cooling my Intel i9-11900K. Idle temps are around 29C and under load it never reached any higher than 74C stock. You can control all of the lighting on both the pump and fans in IQ or sync them all together with several awesome pre-made effects. Here's a case noise test while the system is under full load. Next up, we are going to take a look at this stunning Gigabyte Gaming OC12G RTX 3080 Ti. Now I know a lot of people out there were a little disappointed by the MSRP of this card. Personally I agree it should have come out a little cheaper. Even with that high price tag and the light hash rate limiter, it still hasn't deterred miners from snapping them up left, right and centre. With that said, it seems scalpers aren't marking the card up as much as the RTX 3080 since it has the light hash rate limiter. Prices should come down soon guys, since Ethereum is going to proof of stake, fingers crossed. Taking a first look at the card, I love the design. The backplate is really aggressive but stealthy at the same time. There's no horrible plain white bold text anywhere. The only RGB comes in the form of a Gigabyte logo that can be controlled with RGB Fusion. Much like every Aorus or Gigabyte card that I've looked at recently, there is an exposed fan cable directly on the side of the card which really triggers me a little. Underneath there are 3 Windforce fans that alternate in different directions to help keep the card as cool as possible. As for specs, it has a stock core clock of 1710 over the reference 1665. It has 12GB of GDDR6X memory and a 384-bit memory bus and a memory bandwidth of 910. There are only 2 8-pins required to power this card, and on the back there are 3 DisplayPort 1.4As and 2 HDMI 2.1 ports. Temperatures are overall extremely good. Under full load this card never reached above 66 degrees Celsius. Memory temps reached no higher than 79 degrees Celsius even with a 1400 MHz overclock. A lot of 3080s, although within specs, reached way higher than that, around 100C, so Gigabyte have clearly learned to use better thermal pads this time around, as his 3080 Ti has excellent thermals all round. As far as power usage is concerned, this monster will use around 350 watts while gaming, so I would say this card is extremely power hungry. You will need at least a 750 watt PSU to run this beast and your whole system. As far as overclocking, I was able to add 150 MHz to the core and 1400 MHz to the memory, giving this card much better performance than a stock RTX 3090, so it's definitely worth tweaking. For my motherboard, I decided to just use my old Aorus Z390 Master and paired that with an Intel Core 11900K. For memory, I have 32GB of Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro SL DDR4 running at 3600 MHz. They have a small form factor, great XMP support and look amazing. The light bars running along the top are seriously bright and vivid to the naked eye. Seriously, I had to turn them down a little. My favourite effect has to be rain. I always use rain. I just love that effect and it really sets off my PC overall. To power my rig, I decided to pick up a black RM850 850W PSU, and I also added some sleeved premium black cables, also from Corsair. They make such a difference and I can highly recommend them, although the cable combs are a little bulky. Overall though, I feel like this build looks very premium, and I was surprised how even though the case is so big, all of the components seem to fit really well. Now let's test some of the latest games to see how this PC performs. Please note both my 11900K and RTX 3080 Ti are overclocked to the max. Right everyone, rounding off this video, the performance of this system is absolutely insane. The Intel Core i9-11900K and Gigabyte RTX 3080 Ti work extremely well together. You will get insane frame rates even at 4K with max graphical settings on some games. I found Corsair's latest case with its 7 140mm fans cooled all of the components much better than any other case I've ever tested. Generally I wouldn't recommend buying a case this big unless you're planning on a custom loop, but nevertheless its cooling performance is fantastic even with a regular build like this. I'm definitely going to keep using this case, but with my Ryzen 3950X editing build I'm going to swap that over into this case. That needs as much airflow as possible. Anyway everyone, I really hope you've enjoyed checking out this build. My name's Mark from Silence Tech. Please remember to leave a like, and if you haven't already, to subscribe. I hope to see you all very soon. Goodbye.